Hey folks, how's it going? My name is Lexi and I really like tabletop games. So much so that we sit down together once a week, every week, and we review one here at the gaming table. If that sounds interesting to you, I encourage you to press subscribe and keep watching. I really appreciate all the interaction that these videos get. It really helps us get a bit more attention on the sea of the YouTube algorithm. If you would like to do something extra special for the gaming table, there is a link in my description box to my Ko-Fi page where you can donate to the channel. I have started also to put a short little thank you at the end of my videos for everyone who has donated in the previous month. All of those donations go straight back to the running costs of the channel, so it is deeply appreciated. Today I'm taking a look at a game that I picked up pretty much just because I saw it was produced by Old Dog Games with Evil Hat Productions. I tend to really like most of the games that Evil Hat Productions comes out with, so I was pretty keen to see what this one would be like. From Tim Denny, this is Deathmatch Island. In this game, players take on the role of ordinary people who have been kidnapped and placed in a battle royale. The players on their teams will need to work together to not only survive the game, but win. The game is structured so the characters go through various stages of the battle royale, called islands. They're called this because they take place on different islands. Hopefully, all the characters from the start make it through to the end to survive and win the game. All these characters are provided, though, are basic tools for survival and maybe a weapon. One other thing they are provided is a watch that states the number of followers their character has. It seems not only knowing how to pitch a tent and fire a gun are useful tools for survival, but also your character's popularity with the people following them. The game doesn't specify how the player characters are being observed, which makes this little detail a little bit creepy. The game master in this game is referred to as the production player, and they help orchestrate the events and the trials that the player characters have to go through. The player characters are referred to as contestants. The production player comes up with the different islands and elements that the player characters, the competitors, are going to have to overcome. Underneath it all is an underlying mystery. Who's created these games and why? Deathmatch Island uses the Paragon system, which originally debuted with the second edition of the game Agon. I have an extremely old review of that game, and I'm really glad to see the return of this system. Dice to roll, but it creates an overall structure for the game. Each island is supposed to have some kind of theme or central conflict that the player characters need to resolve to win the stage. That's a very broad assessment of the Paragon system, and there's plenty of room to expand and explore within that just in the game itself. Something I really like is Deathmatch Island has actually included just a couple of pages where they've explained what alterations and changes they've made to the Paragon system for their game. I think that's a step above acknowledging the system that you're using in the game, and for people who are interested in how mechanics work and why you would make a change from a base system or a base inspiration for a system, this page is a really interesting one just to have a brief read over. So the dice you'll need for this game are D4s, D6s, D8s, D10s, and D12s. Generally speaking, the more powerful something is, the higher the die it will have. When your players first sit down, they are to create their characters, their competitors. To start off creating your competitor, you have to roll on a table to see what their occupation was before they were kidnapped. This is what they were doing in their ordinary life. This occupation determines which particular capability your character's going to be better at. That's their favored capability. This one gets assigned a D8. Your competitor needs a name, a competitor number, and some distinguishing features. Then the players need to gather together and have their characters play some icebreaker games. This is for their character to determine their trust scores with one another. This also then will help them decide what their competitors' motivations are. When the player characters come across an obstacle in-game, the game master, the production player, will roll a pool of dice. This is going to represent the challenge. The players then decide how their competitors are going to respond to the situation and contribute dice based on what skill their character would use to help the group overcome this situation. The group then rolls together. The highest die are then taken and have the most relevant modifiers applied to them to see if the group is able to meet the challenge presented by the other dice pool or if they are unsuccessful. The last stage to this dice rolling is a stage called Confessionals. This is where the game has the players and the production player role play how the roll turns out. What happens in universe? How does each character's contribution help or hinder them in overcoming the challenge? I reviewed Aegon a long time ago and I really like how this game adapts the system. In Aegon, the players rotate who is the game master, whereas in Deathmatch Island that stays as one person. I definitely think this makes sense for the Battle Royale aspect. And I like that Deathmatch Island stipulates that generally a game of Deathmatch Island is meant to take place over multiple seasons of the Battle Royale story, with different casts of characters, and that is eventually how the characters might build to resisting the games. In the beginning, your group of player characters might only be interested in surviving and maybe winning the games. After a couple of seasons of the game, the characters might be more aware of the situation they're in, and perhaps want to stop these games altogether. There's definitely a lot of violence in this game. It's a little bit inherent to the genre. If you want to, though, there are options in the game for a non-lethal version, so less killing and more just elimination. I think it would depend on what your group is down for. I love the visual style for this game manual. They've chosen as their main colour to be shades of orange and maybe a couple of bits of yellow with black and white. Orange is absolutely the correct choice for this game. Orange represents things like danger and caution. That's why we put them on signs when we're trying to create warning. I also love the little elements of Deathmatch Island branded thing. I also love the element of Deathmatch branded products, such as production vans or celebratory champagne. They have a minimalist element to these designs, which is really kind of reminiscent of IKEA generic brand kind of stuff. I think this visual style is meant to make us think about what we consume. Not only do we consume a product, but in the world of this game, someone is consuming the product of the competitor. I have to admit, I might not be the target audience for this game. I actually haven't consumed a lot of Battle Royale media. I never watched Survivor and I didn't read The Hunger Games or see any of the associated movies, but I did still really enjoy this game. I think the themes that the game was trying to highlight really spoke to me. I can only imagine someone who's more familiar with the tropes of a battle royale would get even more out of the game than me. A copy of this game manual retails for around $30 US. I got it for around $60 Australian, which is pretty equivalent for the exchange rate. I have to say I really love this size of game manuals that I see a lot of Evil Hat production games doing. It's a really good size to take the game manual with you to run the game at a friend's house. I did notice on the Deathmatch Island website that if you are particularly invested in the game, there's some expansions to the game of pre-written adventures, as well as options to purchase extra little props to hand out to your players for the game, which do look really interesting. I don't think any of these extras are necessary to start playing the game. I do think because of the manual's relative affordability and portability, the idea of purchasing expansions or props for the game becomes a bit more appealing to someone like me. If a game already costs a lot of money, I'm less likely to purchase extras versus if a game is a bit more on the affordable side. Personally, I know I would probably be no good if I was thrown into a battle royale situation. I am not great at survival skills and I'm a bit too trusting. I think I'd be relying on having a high follower count to survive. How about you? Do you think you would do okay? Let me know your thoughts about that, or just the game in general, in the comment section down below. While you're there, I encourage you to like this video and perhaps even share it with a friend. If you want to keep up with the gaming table, you can subscribe and turn on notifications. That way YouTube will tell you when I've next uploaded. I really appreciate it when you folks interact with these videos with your comments and your likes. Basically, the more interaction a video gets, the more YouTube shares it out with other people, and so hopefully the more like-minded people come to find us at the gaming table. If you would like to do something a little bit special for the channel, you can donate to the channel using the link in my description box to my Ko-Fi page. I pop a short little thank you at the end of my videos for everyone who's donated in the previous month. All those donations go straight back into the running costs of the channel, so it is deeply appreciated. I want to thank you all again for watching and discussing Deathmatch Island with me. I hope you're all well, and I look forward to seeing you next time at the gaming table. Bye!